All right, we're back. As usual, I did not make it back out here after going to get my welding hood. That turned into a whole fiasco. You know how it is when you buy something on Marketplace. Someone's supposed to meet you at a certain time, and then they call and they can't meet. And then you're waiting around doing nothing because you're supposed to go meet some guy. And then, anyways, it turned into an all-night ordeal. I did finally go get it, and I'm happy I got it because it works pretty sweet. So we'll talk about that later, maybe more. But we're back a couple days later. And we're getting back on trying to get this here patch panel done. We got to cut that bad boy off and put some of this bad boy on. And I always start this stuff by saying, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just kind of trying to figure this out as I go. I've done some patch panels before. I'm definitely no expert or nothing, but we're gonna, looks like we got to drill out some spot welds, figure out a line to cut, and then I'm trying to decide, since I got my fancy new TIG welder and I've been TIG welding, if I want to try to TIG weld this, or if I'm just gonna you know, buzzy, or, you know, spot weld it with the MIG welder. That would probably be easier and faster, but I'm not that smart, so I'll probably try to mess with the TIG welder and then burn holes in it and screw it all up and then do it all over again with the MIG welder. So we'll see what happens. Let me find some tools and we'll see if we can get started. All right, so this has got a little brace back here and that's got a little rust hole in it too. We'll have to patch that bad boy in. The rest of it I think is okay. It doesn't look great from this side, but we'll clean it all out. Maybe throw some sort of rust converter or protector or paint, or we'll put something in there. It'll probably last longer than I'm going to be around at this point, so that's all I'm really worried about. But this brace it looks like it's spot welded. There's little brackets here, so a couple spot welds there, and then feels like there's a couple on the side here. So I'm going to hit it with the old DA just to hopefully expose the spot welds a little bit. All right, seems to me we got a little something right there. I think there's a spot weld right there. There might be one at the end. And then there's a couple down here on the bottom. We can see them on the inside as well. So do some drilling here. See if we can't get these loose. I'm gonna drill these from here if I can. I can see right where they are. Those two as well, I guess. There we go. All right, there's the obvious ones. There might be another one right in that corner. Make those holes a little bigger and see if we can pry it loose. Got some drill bits over here somewhere. What do you think? Something like this? Ooh, that one was hot. Be careful, folks. Those get hot. Oh, that one does not want to cooperate. If I had a little better positioning where I could apply some real pressure, that would help. Might have to do an in-between one. I thought that was my in-between one. Careful, that's hot. I just learned that lesson. It's probably got to be bigger than that still. All right, now we'll get some fancy prying tools, otherwise known as Craftsman screwdriver. See if we can determine how to get this loose. All right, I think we're good on that little tab. All right, so I think we got the brace all loose. Next thing to do, I guess, is figure out a rough idea where we're going to cut this bad boy. And I don't see no reason to use any more of this than I have to, so I'm just gonna come about where my purple line is priced. We're gonna above this rust hole, make sure we got some clean metal there. So let's see, what do we do? That was loud. Somewhere up here I got some marking devices. I'm basically gonna go, now I'm gonna go right above this hole. Then on here, that's gonna be about right there. So I think what I will do is I'll cut this a little higher and then come back and draw that line on there once I cut this piece. maybe a little bit lower first, and we'll get rid of this lower part and then fit it on so it gets tight against the brace, and then draw our actual line, and then that'll be the magic spot where we'll cut it. Something like that. All right, upon further review, I think what I'm gonna actually do is this body line is quite a bit crisper on the original Fender than it is on this replacement thing. So since there's no rust here, I may want to try to keep this. So I may do something like this, be a little more welding or maybe a little harder because it's angled, but that way it keeps all this original stuff. So now that's maybe the plan. Thinking roughly something like that, which translated to the new piece is roughly something like that. So I'm gonna go cut this guy out of here just with a death wheel, I assume. And then I'll cut this guy out. I'll probably cut this out and bring it on here and make a mark and make sure I'm higher. And then I'm gonna cut a little below my mark because I can't really fit this piece up tight where it goes with this piece in the way. So we'll get rid of most of it, and that'll let me get closer to this bracket down here where it actually ends, the brace in the back. And then we can scribe an actual line. And then I may try to round. I've always heard it's better to round to the corners than just I know this wouldn't be a 90-degree corner obviously, but so we'll try to maybe round to that slightly. And then we gotta, I don't know, we gotta try to make them the same so it fits like a glove, as they say. And then we'll buzz it together. So there's a lot of work between now and buzzing it together. And that's what I'm gonna try to do. Safety first, so I got some gloves and some face protection, and I'm gonna try not to throw sparks on everything I own, but we'll see how this goes. Doesn't work without a battery. Quite sure I'm going to make that curve with the death wheel. We'll try plan B. I got a blade in it. Oh, yeah, I got a blade in it. It's not a good one. I don't feel like messing with that. So we're going to just make it work with this. Ah! What are the odds of that working? So we transferred that mark onto here, and now we got more sparks to make. I'm gonna cut inside of this line a little bit, and then we'll sneak up on it, as they say. The hearing protection works better if you put them in your earballs. Thought I had those all loose down there. We'll get there. Rust be gone. All right, now I guess we should try to clean this bad boy up a little bit. Like I said, if I can just make it last. Where'd you guys go? Hold on, you getting dizzy? Can't get this dang glove off. Huh. You won't see none of that. Probably. Gonna try to get this cleaned up. It does have a little hole right yonder. And then we'll spray it with some, I don't know, whatever I got. I'm not gonna do anything crazy because it's trying to work on this. So if I got some, I think I got some sort of rust converter stuff over there. I don't know if it's actually does anything, but either that or we'll spray some epoxy prime. We'll spray something on this after we get it all cleaned up. And then I don't know if we'll do it in that order. And then we'll also try to make this fit magically better. YouTube amateur. I just explained a bunch of stuff to you guys with my camera on time lapse, so that didn't work very good. What I'm doing now once again, what I'm doing now is getting this rust out of this little bracket. So black mark here, got some rust there and some rust there. So I'm just going to cut that piece out. And that I didn't even see until after I started sanding and trying to clean up. And this is the spot where we knew there was a rust hole. I took the old trusty die grinder there and I just kind of warbled her out because I thought that'd be easier than trying to get the death wheel in there and cut something out a certain shape. So then I used some trusty blue tape to make a couple templates. So this one should kind of mimic that line there. So I got to cut that out still. And then I used a piece of trusty blue tape again to mark this little hole. So that should be somewhat close, and then we'll get her closer and do some grinding once we start, you know, getting to that point of actual fitment, but it's, you know, close-ish. So I was just getting ready to cut this out of here when I noticed I was on time lapse. So anywho, that's what we're up to. And I'll set you guys up. I think I'm going to try to cut that out with a little air saw. I went and found a different blade and changed it. Because again, I don't know if the death wheel would get in there that great, but I don't know if this is going to work that great either. This is a pretty good air saw. I haven't used it forever. I did it when I did a lot of work on the 55. I was cutting a lot of sheet metal out and stuff. And I had the old Harbor Freight special before, and this is an Ingersoll Rand. And she works real good. I don't know if it's going to work real good in this case, but I don't have anything braced up or anything. Like butter. Worked like a charm. Anyways, if you happen to need one of these, this is the one I'd recommend. Ingersoll Rand. I don't remember the I don't remember how to talk. I don't remember the actual part number or model number or what it's called, but I do know that I have a link to it on my Amazon store, and I'll put a link in the bottom of this video description. And if you get one through there, I'll even make a buck or two, which is more than I'll make from this whole YouTube thing. So thanks for doing that. Cutting and grinding and sanding and that sort of stuff. I got a pretty decent fit on this little patch for the brace or bracket or whatever I was calling this before. I was planning on just MIG welding this because it would be fast and easy, but you know, I'm not that smart. And I already got the TIG welder all set up. And I've been TIG welding a lot lately, and I wanted to do something besides make scrap metal art with my TIG welder, so I'm going to try to TIG this in. The only thing I'm worried about is the back side of this is so rusty. TIG welding wants everything to be super clean. Now I did get clean metal on the edges, so I'm thinking I might be okay, but I'm not an expert of enough TIG welder, or even barely a TIG welder, to know if that's going to be a problem. So I got a pretty good fit though, and you want that with TIG welding. So what I'm going to do is just tack it in place, and then I'll start to weld it. And if you got any contamination, or if it's not liking the rusty metal, it's going to hiss and spit and sputter, and then I'll know that it's not worth messing with, and I'll break out the MIG welder. So let me get this kind of set up how I want it, and then we will see what happens. All right, hopefully you'll be able to see a little something from there. I don't know if you can see me, but hopefully you can see where I'm pretending to TIG weld. I think I did a couple little practice runs on some scrap, so hopefully I'm somewhere as close on my settings. I'm just a little worried about this rusty metal, so we're about ready to see what happens. I got a pretty good fit, so I should be able to get an autogenous tack on here. I know it's a pretty big word. If someday if you become like a big time TIG welder like myself, you'll learn those fancy words. That means without filler metal. So I'm just going to tack it without adding any filler. Hopefully I can get somewhat comfortable. Get a little bit more stuff in my way maybe would help. Nice and flush. There we go. Well, Mr. Autogenous didn't work on that spot. Didn't have a good enough fit. Well, that's a bummer, because now if I can't get an autogenous tack, then I got to figure out how to clamp it in place. Yeah, that metal just kind of burns away. One little tiny tack there. Pretty tight right there. See if we can get that one. Yeah. See that sputter, spatter? That's because of the metal. So probably wasting my time with the old TIG welding action, which is a shame because I think I could make a pretty sweet weld right there if it would work. I'm not smart enough to give up just yet, so we'll try one more tack. Sputtered and spattered crap onto my tungsten. This is what I was saying by I could have it welded by now if I MIG welded it. It's buzzy buzzy. What fun would that be? That time we didn't get a sputter spatter disaster. All right, where'd my filler rod go? On the ground. Stop and check it out. A little cold when I started, but it was going pretty well when I quit. I got a vise in my way. That's that spot that doesn't like it. Maybe not pretty, but it's welded. We'll have to see what the underside looks like. And I'm gonna try to make this a little worse, probably. The foot pedal down here, you gotta work too, you know. I don't know if you knew that. Yep, we went from better to worse. Yep, and then we dipped. I just had, when I first started, the weld was really cold and it was really proud right there, so I tried to melt it out. All right, so here's my, I guess this isn't my first TIG weld on the car. I did some holes filled in, but this is kind of maybe the first real thing I did besides making all this crap. And a lot of that is aluminum, which is a lot different than welding carbon steel. But other than the part where I went back to try to fix, careful, that's hot, fix that end, I kind of blew it out. We'll just leave it, it ain't a big deal. And then maybe it was a little cold here and the weld was a little proud. I haven't been able to look at the back yet. Let's hop it, or we'll pull it down and see what the back looks like. All right, there we go. We got decent penetration on most of it, so I'm happy with that. So that's one repair down, and now we have to, I gotta make that little guy fit in that hole there, and we will probably TIG that in too. All right, so now I'm gonna TIG a little handle onto my little patch that I'm making. Just I gotta get that guy out of the way. Now I got something to hold on to, and I'm grinding this and putting it in the hole to see if it's going to fit. So I just TIGged a little piece of filler rod on there, and then obviously you just grind that off when you're done. So now I will bring it over to the fender, stick it in the hole, see where it's got to be smaller, whatever, and then hopefully we'll make it fit somewhat good. Now I just got one hole to fill in somehow on this rusty metal. Went pretty decent. I burned a big hole right here, so I had to slowly fill that in, but I got her. Haven't looked at the other side yet, but you know what I like to say, there ain't no hole there anymore. So as long as the other side looks okay, we're done messing around with the brace. And then I'd like to start messing with the actual patch panel, but as always, I got other stuff I got to do. I'm out of time for the day, so hopefully I'll be back before another 35 or 40 days. See you soon.